Have you set up your own home theater yet? I had the opportunity to finish a home theater that was kind of started when we moved into this house, so I didn't get the full experience, and can't say I'm all that disappointed because it certainly can be a chore to pick the right equipment, pick the right environment, get everything set up as perfectly as you could possibly get it. And to tell you the truth, I could probably tweak it just a bit more and still not be happy. No matter, it's an amazing home theater that I have. I don't know if I've recorded any videos of it yet. I mean, it's exciting. I've live streamed from my home theater, but I've never really recorded any video. You know, maybe I should have recorded this video down there. But then you wouldn't be able to look at the wacky wallpaper that changes every minute or so behind me. Anyway, we've got 7 tips passed along by community member TJ from geeks.perillo.com. And these are geared towards people who have not yet set up their home theater. And some of them kind of sound a bit obvious, but you'd be surprised at the things that you just don't check off your list as you start putting things together. And number 1, maybe this goes without saying, but he notes, get good equipment. It's not just about what's there and what you need now, but it's also what's going to happen in the future. He says if you want to have a good home theater setup, don't buy cheap or lousy equipment. You'll thank yourself later, as the better quality gear may last longer and have better audio and video quality. He notes a couple of brands, but see, this is the thing. If I mention the brands, then you guys are going to take that as gospel truth, and everybody's got their favorites. The thing is don't cheap out. Don't do it. And he kind of goes over that again and again and again, and I would agree with him every time he mentions it. Number 2, and this is probably something that you may not have thought about, beware of interference. Interference, such as electromagnetic or radio interference, can have a noticeable impact on quality and sometimes equipment operation. It's not a big issue as it used to be, but it's still something to be aware of. For instance, you wouldn't want to set a computer or non-shielded speaker near equipment, as it may noticeably affect it. Number 3, get good cables. And when he says this, and he kind of goes into it a bit, he's specifically talking about the amount of shielding around the cabling. Also notes that a cheap cable can pick up interference and would not conduct electricity very well. Let's see here. He mentions a couple of brands. He mentions that it helps to go for digital cables as they pick up more frequency than the older analog cables. I'm not one who's ever really had to worry about that. I was lucky enough that when I went to go finish my home theater, we ended up taking some bids around the area, and just because I wanted to be guided every step of the way, because I don't live, eat, sleep, breathe home theater, and there's only so much research I could possibly do. So when we took bids, and this may be the boat that you're in, we went through a variety of companies. We went with the company that actually underbid itself. Like, we had identified certain things that we were looking for, and they mentioned, no, use this brand because it's just as good and it's half as much. And we're like, okay, fine. And you know what? We can't tell the difference. I guarantee it. So I was very grateful taking that guidance. So as I note some of these tips, even though these are his, I'm going to throw in my own as well, and maybe you guys have got tips you're throwing into the comment stream if you've set this up before. There's things that you've picked up in setting up a home theater. Number 4, get a set of equipment. While it's not mandatory, you can connect some sets where you only need one remote to control everything. It makes everything simpler and more convenient. That's true. And even though I have a universal remote control, inevitably, I always use the remote control that's native to that device. So, I think I would much rather have a set of equipment that's controlled by one remote control natively rather than just... why can't they just create a universal remote control that doesn't suck in some way? And I've tried them all. Seriously, even the ones that everyone's always screaming about, saying, oh, you have to try this one, I do, and inevitably it disappoints. Number 5, plug things into each other. Some pieces of gear have additional power plugs in them. For instance, an amplifier may have 3 power plugs in it, or outlets for a power plug. This allows you to plug in other things and save wall socket space. Additionally, it allows you to turn everything on and off at once. Number 6, this is important, get good speakers. The best setup in the world will sound lousy if it's connected to lousy speakers. Mentioned some brands here, which of course you're probably already aware of. Some that you may want to consider. Everybody's going to have a different answer to that. But the one thing I do want to note is that when we went to build our home theater before we moved into this house, what we ended up doing is starting with like a 2.1 system. So we had basically our front channels and then a subwoofer, and we ended up, when we moved into this house, bringing them over with us, and it's perfect in that particular room. They work perfectly. So you can always build incrementally. Don't think that you have to do it all at once. Maybe it's an ongoing project where this first year you start with the basics, and that would be getting your speaker set up and your possibly your amplifier or receiver. And then go up depending on how or what you need more than anything for your home theater to be perfect for you. So the speakers is important. I'm very glad that we spent the extra money on the speakers that we did get. They worked out quite well. I know someone would probably walk in and say, "Oh, those speakers are horrible." Well, they're the best we could get at the time, and on our dime too. And you know what? Everybody who stops by and plays Xbox 360 or watches a DVD or a HD TV down there with us, they're not complaining. Number 7, old things are sometimes superior. While this tip is not suggested for DVD or CD players and speakers, it applies to tape players and radio units. He mentions he's got an old system from 1976, and it's better than any other radio that he's ever heard. And he also has a tape deck from approximately the same year, and the same is true. Wow. I think I've got cassette tapes around here, and I've actually been considering getting one of those all-in-one units that would allow me to take from vinyl or cassette and then burn it directly to a CD, just to convert it all in just one box. I've seen and heard them, but I'm kind of leery about spending my money on them, even after reading reviews, because I'd hate to spend money on something only to find out that it just does a horrible job. You know what I'm saying? And I know you know what I'm saying, because we're all about saving money, but don't do it at the cost of quality. It is always, well, okay, so maybe I can't say always true. I will say that it is more likely true that you get what you pay for, especially when it comes to hardware. It's not always the case. You kind of have to go and experience things for yourself, talk to experts. Never, ever, ever take advice from a salesman. They will likely lie to you. And if you've got a friend who does this, or maybe you do it yourself, then you probably think I'm an idiot. And if that's the case, great, because now it's your opportunity to give us your tips for setting up a home theater, or maybe even maintaining a home theater. What do people have to consider when it comes to home theater? I'd be interested in knowing if I made the right decisions, that's for sure. My email address is chris@pirillo.com. Feel free to leave a video response or follow up in any way, shape, or form on the blog at chris.pirillo.com. You're also welcome to join us in our great community of geeks, and I'm likely going to get schooled by a few of them. That's, of course, at geeks.pirillo.com. We've got blogs, forums, places where you can upload video, maybe video of your home theater setup. I'd be interested. Maybe photos of your home theater setup. Anyway, join us at Geeks. And, of course, you're also welcome to join us here in the chat room. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we're typically talking tech throughout the day and, night. It's about 2 in the morning, and I'm recording this. Unbelievable. Anyway, like I say, we're always open. Live.pirillo.com. We'll see you later.